What's up, everybody? I'm Super Nolan Man, and you are watching the Uncle Cyborg Show, where today we are talking about our first few hours with Elden Ring Nightreign. Bandai Namco invited us to play the game ahead of its May 30th release, and we've got a lot to talk about. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow Tarnished. First up, he's the Scourge of 7-Eleven. The man with the mug tattoo, Matthew Hot Dog Eater, a.k.a. Matthew Daniels. Matthew, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Glad to hear it.
Showed Melania a good Valentine's Day by beating her in 60 seconds.
Nice.
To those watching, I finally beat Elden Ring all by myself. I even helped Bo beat Elden Beast.
That was very kind of you, Matthew.
Yep.
And then he's the man with the heart of platinum. You can call him the finisher. It's the Hyrule King, Bo Mitchell. Bo,
hey,
happy
how's
Valentine's
it going?
Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day to you too, man.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah.
If you are new here, this is the Uncle Cyborg Show, where we break down the trending topics and our favorite things about video games while keeping it rated E for everyone. If that sounds appealing to you, click that subscribe button and hang out with us. And if you want to get here first, you can click that bell icon to be notified every time we make a move. If you want to be a part of the show, you can answer our question of the week. But last week, we had our biggest video to date, and we had no responses. So you see, it's that easy to get on the show and have your voice heard. This week, we're asking you, which game should copy Fortnite next?
Yeah.
Sound confusing? Not for long. Now, this is the part where we tell you what we've been playing. But today, there's only one game you guys care about. And we've been playing it. We're talking about our first 3 hours with Elden Ring Nightreign. Thank you again to From Software and Bandai Namco for inviting us to be a part of this closed preview and network test. Before I move things around the table, let me give you the pitch of this game in case you're still in the dark. What you are doing in Elden Ring Nightreign, a standalone game from Elden Ring. You start off in a version of the round table hold, where you can step up to the plate and you can enter, well, basically into the game, so to speak. You've got like a lobby of your own. It's isolated. You're not in there with other folks, but you're sitting in a lobby by yourself, and you step up to the plate, select, you'll have the option later to select a code or whatever if you want to play with friends. That was not available to us today, interesting enough, but we'll talk about that stuff later. And as you hop in, it'll make your party. This is playing as a trio. There is no option to do it with duos. There's been talk about a solo option and a potential offline, but we have not been able to see that. That has not been available for us to try out. So we'll be waiting with bated breath on that. As you matchmake,
I feel like that'd be pretty easy to implement. They'll probably do it.
I'm hoping so. I think so. As you matchmake, you will have the option of picking one of 8 different classes, 4 of which were available to us today, and we will be telling you all about. When you pick your class and everybody's readied up, you will fly in on winged beasts into eagles, basically. I didn't want to make people think
you're
it was
not on them,
dragons.
they're carrying you.
They're carrying you. But you turn to your buddies and you say, all right, Tarnished, where are we dropping? And you literally fly into the map and you pick a place to drop in at.
Technically, it just drops you.
Yeah, it's not as much picking as
You can pick later.
You don't
games.
get a what do you call it? Like a parachute? Like, or a glider or anything like that. But you do have some agency. I saw some people really get us maneuvered. It was kind of impressive. Only the lead player has the agency. Everybody else is just kind of stuck with whatever they decide to go with. Kind of like, Fortnite and Apex and the like. Although Apex you can kind of break off and stuff. I know I can't speak for Fortnite because I didn't play much of it. But you drop into the map, and your goal is actually just to get as strong as you can, as fast as you can. You do that by slaying enemy encampments around the area with some overworld bosses as well, as you try to gain experience to quickly level up, to pick up all kinds of loot that is scattered across the map, because as you collect, there is a rain of fire coming in from the sides, circling in on you until it finally hones in at a random location in the map where you will fight the big boss of that day. You will do that for 2 days, and at the third day, you will be taken to a separate boss arena to take on the boss of that area. That's the general pitch for it. We're going to give you more as we go along. But first, I want to start with some top level impressions and just how are you feeling about it before we go into the actual mechanics of the game. And first, I want to talk to the FromSoft hero himself, Bo Mitchell. How are you feeling after 3 hours of Nightreign?
Oh man, this is such a weird one. Like the gameplay feels really similar to Elden Ring, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Like you can run really fast, and that feels great. That's easily like one of the best new changes. And you like are picking up weapons consistently, like a lot of other games like Fortnite and Apex. I don't know. I might need to play some more of it. I'll probably do it at the beta, like the next one too, this weekend. But I think my first impression of it wasn't super hot, and it kind of grew on me over time as I was playing it. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it as much as other FromSoft games. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's kick it over
I'm
to
conflicted.
Matthew, coming off of finally beating Elden Ring base game. You've still got some stuff in the DLC to go back for, but
I would
how are
send
you
someone to
feeling
tell them
after-
I'm coming, but none of them are breathing now.
After 3 hours of Nightreign, what are your top level impressions?
I thought it was fun. I'm more likely to buy the game just to be able to play it with people that I know. Because there's no party system, and so I feel like that kind of hurts it a little bit. Because this isn't like a typical battle royale where you're just trying to get to the, like, even though that's like what it's compared to, obviously. So it's not like a typical battle royale like a lot of people were thinking. It's more of like as a group, it's kind of like an overworld dungeon crawler. You're just trying to get.
Yeah, it's like a roguelike boss rush.
Yeah, but people are playing it like it is one, and so they'll just run off and do their own thing. I was able to get 5 games in. Games last like probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes on average. And they're
depending on how well you do.
Yeah, they're just running ahead like it was Fortnite, man. I was like, what are we doing in here? So like I'm fighting and dying to groups of enemies, and they're just all kind of running around doing whatever. So that was annoying, but I feel like that's just a multiplayer game. So I feel like it was a weird decision to not let us play with people.
Some teams that aren't.
Yeah, but overall, I think the I don't know how to. The game, like the concept of a roguelite and Elden Ring go together really well. Because I like it's the, you die to, like, let's say you die on night 1, then you want to boot back in and let's say make it a little further, and then you just kind of want to keep going. And as you go through, you make you unlock little items that let you upgrade your character. So each time you go back, you're a little stronger. And I think that works really well because Elden Ring is already a hard game as it is, and so you're at least you're rewarded for dying and going back in and doing all that. So I enjoyed it probably more than Bo, but this is technically my second FromSoft game. So
this is true. Matthew's only played Elden Ring from them.
I will be playing Bloodborne next, I believe.
Nice. Yeah, just to give people a little bit of background for us. Bo and I have played through all of the FromSoft games from Demon Souls, Dark Souls onwards. And Bo has platinumed each of those. And
Yeah.
I've at least rolled credits on all of them and platinumed a couple of them.
And Elden Ring twice.
True.
Yeah, I was showing him how to get the platinum.
And then Matthew, just was it December or January that you?
When we
I
started,
had started playing back
it was
in like
November, December.
So I'd started playing in August, and I was making like a really slow progress through it. And then you guys were mentioning that you were going to play it after you were done with Borderlands. So then I was like, all right, I'll just hold up.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, so this would have been basically December.
I'm right at about 90 hours, just having
started
beaten base game and a little bit of Erdtree.
Nice. So, for myself, I'm not as conflicted about it as I feel Bo, you are, but I'm definitely in a position where I need to see this now in context of the actual thing. So today, it being a network test, I mean, they're bringing us in, have it basically saying, do your worst and push this thing to its limits. Let's see what we're able to do. And that does, bring in some stipulations of, hey, we're not going to do parties right now. We're not going to do passwords. We've turned them off. So if you do put one in, it's not going to even match make you. I would assume.
Yeah, that was definitely the biggest negative.
Yeah, I would assume that is because they are confident in the password system. Although I find it very odd that they're doing it this way. I wish we were lobbying up together and then going into it. I think that's just an easier way to do it.
Especially since we just did Monster Hunter Wilds and we were able to play together. It's like, man, it's better when you can play together and like experience it together.
Yeah, the multiplayer works just like your typical FromSoft game. If you've played Elden Ring, if you've played Dark Souls, you already know how this is going to work. There's no in-game voice communication. The best that you can do is you can drop a pin on the map, and you can leave little tickers for people to kind of see, hey, come look at this or go to this place. But you can't actually tell them anything, which makes this very interesting. But I feel like FromSoft's vision for multiplayer has always been a lack of communication. I don't think when they're planning out, they're not sitting there making Dark Souls and thinking of the people who are going to be in party chat trying to team up with each other that way. I mean, the password system is there, but they're not catering to those people. They're catering to the rando experience of you just click, you just bring in a rando into your world to come experience with you. So this is very consistent with what they've done before, and I'm curious to see what that's going to look like in a greater context of things, especially because this is now a roguelite, and that's where I'm wanting to start off. So let's first talk about what progression looks like. To just give the basics of it, when you go in for your first run, you're going to beat baddies, you're going to fight bosses, you're going to open chests, you're going to be getting and collecting items from here. And as you get those are going to level you up, and you can beef up your weapons and all this kind of stuff. And everything you gather only lasts for that run. As soon as your team wipes, those things are gone forever. And at the end of your run, you're given random rewards based on how far you got into it. The quality of them kind of goes up. As far as I could tell, there's not a marker of the quality of those items. But
I don't think there was.
Those you will take back to your round table hold, and you can then equip them to different classes that you have, and that is going to be your progression throughout. until you finally, beat the Night Lord is what they call it. That final boss of the area. How did you guys notice any progression as you went along? How do you feel about this way they're doing
the
it?
items are for clarification, the items are things like you can have a little more health, do a little more damage with maybe I think it's just damage, maybe this type of damage. I'm sure there's stuff to increase your FP or your stamina a little bit. It's kind of like buffs that your character gets to make it easier, I guess, to get
some
further
abilities when you beat bosses. And then chests have like weapons typically. Although there was like a couple bosses I got a weapon from.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works so good in this like context because I've played quite a couple roguelites that I usually do. I more like the sci-fi ones is the one I've played, but this feels a lot better than those did. Because you're on like the way the gameplay works, it's half an hour of you guys going through together slaying things, so it feels like you did a little mini adventure.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like you're getting stronger between runs?
I'd be honest,
no.
I didn't.
It's not that kind of rogue.
I didn't really mess around with
I
didn't really mess around with the upgrades at all. I did it the first time that I saw them, and then I kind of forgot to ever check on
them.
The
only time I got, and maybe this is how they're thinking it's gonna go, the only time I got really good ones was when I got to the last boss.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I got the really good ones. So.
Yeah, I'd say the experience was similar for me, where going through, I would get a couple where I would say, okay, this kind of works for me. I think they're planning on everybody, doing dozens and dozens of runs to slowly find what fits them. Because most of the stuff I got, I'll be honest, I couldn't even equip because they were for classes that I didn't care for. But the yes, when I'm pretty sure that I was the only one of our group who was actually able to beat the Night Lord at the end. Just my group was really on it.
That was as far as I got.
Yeah, and Matthew didn't even get to see it, so we're probably not going to have footage of it unless Matthew wants to send the picture.
I was trying to help. I was trying to boost some guys in there, and they just weren't any good. So.
Yeah,
they called me to say, "Hey, the Hyrule King was supposed to help us, but he ducked out, man. He was not going to help us." I said, "All right, I'll help you." Hand me the controller.
I was helping the other group get all the way there.
Yeah, not helping them enough. They like curse you, Bo, as you leave them at the end of the boss. All right, yep, you got it. They used to do that on Budokai when we were at our family friend's house. He would like do a really good combo on a character because I couldn't beat it, and then he'd be like, "All right, here you go," and then I'd lose.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this progression. I would say that the roguelite side of this is actually least interesting. I feel like your ability to get through a run is going to be far less dependent on what you're able to pick up between runs and how you're able to load up before going out. I feel like it's all going to be dependent on what you get in that run, which is more typical of these live service games rather than a roguelite, which is the general feel that I've gotten from this, where I felt like this is not impressive as a roguelite, but it is impressive on an interesting take of these new open multiplayer live service games. I say new, but I mean, this has kind of been the formula since 2017, 2018. For basically in a post PUBG world. This has kind of been the order of things. But I want to move on to I want to talk about what is different in the play style from Elden Ring now to Nightreign. Elden Ring is what a lot of people would kind of consider like a hardcore action RPG. Meaning that you are leveling up and you're getting to choose out your stats to the type of loadout that you want. Everybody can be anything. just by changing the numbers and applying your stats differently and picking up different weapons and things like that. And that context
It's
in
definitely
here,
different.
let's
Yeah.
let's talk about it. So I would start with Matthew, since you are coming off fresh with Elden Ring. You don't have the other FromSoft games to kind of sully your view of it. How do you feel going from Elden Ring now into Elden Ring Nightreign?
It's a lot quicker, which is I really like it in this context where the goal is to get all the way across the map. There's this new sprint is much faster, and it's moved to the left click on your controller instead of holding down
L3.
square or circle. That's really nice. There's a new climbing mechanic where you can kind of almost double jump to get up and climb up things, which is really nice.
The vaulting,
Yep, dodging. It's a lot quicker, and it seems a lot more lenient with what you're able to roll out of the way of, which I like for this, but I don't think I'd like it as much if it was in like a regular Souls game. But I like that.
Interesting.
I actually like the party system, or not the party system. What word is it?
Class system.
The class system. Yeah.
Classes. Yeah.
Because I like it because I kind of, since I don't know a lot about the games anyway, for me, I just kind of see a weapon, and if it looks cool, I get to use it. And if it doesn't match my like what I'm doing, it doesn't matter to me because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing anyway with the classes. So I can, I like that I can get a lot of different items, and I can try weapons that I haven't ever had the chance to use before in Elden Ring because it didn't match my build. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. All right. So, how are you feeling about the changes between Elden Ring and Elden Ring Nightreign?
It's interesting. I think there's some really cool aspects here, like the character abilities. I'm really curious what we'll see with the other characters. So yeah, some of them are really good.
So
like the
every character
Guardian.
has like a unique ability and an ultimate ability.
Yeah. Guardian's ultimate ability was really good. We used that a couple times. He basically like jumps up in the air, and it lets him dodge attacks and attack afterwards, which is pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something like they tried to streamline it with they take out the leveling up, and well, you can level up but you don't choose like your stats, and then you just find the weapons like pretty consistently. I think it'd be interesting to see like what generally what people think of that. So I think it'll definitely take a few runs to get like even used to some of the weapons if you haven't ever tried them.
Yep.
I think it works. Like it works fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
one of the classes I don't like at all. But that might just be my personal preference. I don't know.
The best way for me to describe this one, it feels like you're finally one of the bosses. You get all the OP stuff that makes bosses unfair.
Right. Yeah, we were playing separately from each other, but we were all in the same comms. So we got to kind of hear everybody's reaction to things. I will say, with Matthew being a little bit less experienced, some of these things they're showing are actually in Elden Ring. Not quite as intense as these, and not as
wow.
Most of the weapons
things aren't as quick. Well, the weapons and stuff, but even some of these, there's a lot of really crazy weapon arts and Ashes of War that I don't think you've seen.
Wow.
But that doesn't take away from how powerful you feel. This is as much a power fantasy as you're ever going to get, because when you're first dropped into any kind of From Software game, you are bottom of the totem pole there, and you kind of got to work your way up. Like, even with the riffraff that comes out at the very beginning, you can deal hefty amounts of damage to them in a sense. You're not you're not dog walking them or anything like that.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah, you're pretty powerful in this right from the start.
Yeah, right from the
Crazy.
start, it feels like I'm able to, depending on class that I choose, I'm able to two-shot a lot of the first enemies that come up there, and I'm taking out camps. You don't do that when you drop in to a FromSoft game, typically. Not right off the bat, anyways. I mean, the way that I was coming up to these camps are like how I come up to the Limgrove camps once I'm like, 2/3 of the way through the game coming back. Like
I was
like
leaning
once
back,
I'm like
I had my
level
feet
100.
kicked up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's interesting stuff. But yeah, the thing that I think everybody's going to be talking about, every single video you watch about this, everybody's going to talk about the speed and the urgency.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
not really
Yeah,
time
it's
to
really
catch your
fast.
breath.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no like, glory walking or like role playing coming up to a big
Which
moment or
stinks for
something
me.
like that. Like you've got to keep moving. Yeah.
I'm a meme.
Because the flame, it's not moving in waves where it'll pause and then shrink, pause and then shrink. Is just ever coming in, and
it creeps up on you.
Yes,
because the only
it's not
indication
very-
is on like the ground and a little bit above it, like maybe your character's height.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't see very far away unless you find a high place to look out at it. You're just seeing it in segments as it gets closer to you, and it moves
Helps to bring up
pretty
the map.
quick.
Yeah.
It does
That's
help to
probably
bring
the
up the
best way
map.
to
You
know.
can visualize it there. But the speed is incredible. I would say that you're moving at a base level about 50% faster than you do in Elden Ring.
It's
so
very
basically
quick.
pace and a half. But they did something that I've been wanting them to do forever. They finally put the run on L3. You're
It's so
clicking
nice.
in that left stick,
And you don't have to hold it
feels
either.
So good. Yeah, you just
big
click
thing.
and you're moving. You're not having to hold circle anymore, and your dodge is separate. But that run is crazy. You
It's
are
almost
moving
too fast.
Yeah,
you-
sometimes.
Because you
You're
slide now
fast.
if you switch directions.
Your run is
Yeah.
like riding Torrent if you've played Elden Ring. It's
Yeah.
that same speed. So when Torrent dashes, that is your run speed now. It is absurdly fast, and it feels good. It looks a little bit jank if you look a little too
Yeah.
closely.
Yeah, you
Um,
can tell they sped it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It works. I
it's
guess.
interesting. So they very much took the base engine for Elden Ring. It's very obvious as you first
Yeah.
step in.
I almost thought it was
then-
Lingrave at first when we first pulled in because it looks pretty much
Limfield
like it.
is what it's called. It's an alternate
Oh,
universe
there we go.
version of Limgrave. Yep. And
The universe where I don't exist.
literally what they've done is they went in and they just took the slider and they just
Yeah.
that's all it was on a website. I mean they
Probably.
And that's all
that's
it needed.
oversimplifying it, but that is literally the main thing that occurred there. And it's crazy, and honestly it feels great. Feels great to move around
Yeah.
that world. Feels great to run in, slice, and get out of there. But I want to talk about builds here. Not builds, classes. It's a class
Yeah,
system here.
classes.
Now there will be 8 classes, but we only had 4 of them available to us today. I did not write them down, so I'm
We
going to try
had
to remember as much as
the
I can.
Wilder,
Oh, thank you.
The Guardian, the Duchess, and the Recluse.
Now, the Wilder is kind of your catch-all. If you've ever played any of these Mario sports games, it's Mario. It's your all-round that can move a little bit into each direction there. Although it is
Starts with a claymore
little
like
more-
everybody uses when they're first playing a Souls game.
It's a little bit more towards like your powerful kind of person, but pretty well-rounded. Your Guardian is the tank.
Best class so
Big
far,
ol'-
in my opinion.
Big ol'
Yeah.
health bar, has abilities to negate damage for your party in a certain area. And big ol' shield can
He
really
feels like an
be
Overwatch
stalwart.
character.
Yeah.
I guess.
The classes are that distinct from each other. And then you have uh um
Duchess.
Oh, and to me,
Duchess. Thank
how
you.
they move, like their move set is different too. So it's not just the abilities.
Yeah. We'll come to that in a second here. So Duchess is your Dex character. You're going and getting several swipes really quickly. Has a little double dash to get away, which felt fantastic. But is very low on the health, just not very sturdy at all. And then you have your
Recluse,
your mage class in the form of the recluse, and I'm
so confused about.
I'm gonna leave it there for now.
Although I saw someone doing good, so I don't. Maybe it's just us.
So let's start with Bo. What do you think of the class system, and who's your favorite and least favorite?
I think it's pretty similar to what I thought it was going to be, where it's, they take the starting classes from Souls games and they just, kind of beef them up a little bit and make them slightly more unique than when you start out with. Give them ultimates. I think my favorite, I really like Duchess. The only problem I have with Duchess is its ultimate's not great because you just turn invisible, and that's like, it works, but it's not
compared to the other ones out there.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like, I think I'd say Wilder, just because the DPS you can get on Wilder is really nice.
It's true.
Guardian's probably my second favorite. My least favorite is Recluse.
Tell us about the Recluse.
Yeah, that's the one I started with, which was not a good decision, I don't think, because that one, it's kind of weird because you get your mana back in like a passive kind of way, which feels just really odd. I feel like they should have given they could have given the other, like the L2 triangle ability, like you gain back magic. I feel like that would have been better.
Yeah.
Maybe if I play around with it, I'll like it a bit more. But at the moment, it's just like, I don't know. And I wasn't even really picking up magic much when I was playing the other classes, because it just didn't seem like it was worth picking it up over like the great bows. Because the great bows in this game are like crazy good, because there's unlimited ammo.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't use any magic, so like why would you take it over magic?
Yeah.
And it does, like, I found one that did 215 damage, which is way more than the magic was ever doing.
Right.
It's like, why would I ever choose magic?
Yeah, I picked up a great bow, and it took a significant amount of time to load up, but it's not the funny targeting of the games of the past. It is it's just you click and lock on, and its range can be a little bit tricky to find. That was my one thing about it, was I wasn't loving the range. But I mean, I'm two-shotting enemies
Most things, yeah.
Which is crazy to get out of a range, not long range necessarily, but a ranged weapon.
I think it'd be cool. I was thinking, when I was like thinking back on it, it'd be cool if you could set like different ultimates for the characters. Like, you had like different
options,
ones you could equip.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that would make some of them better. Like, if I could put a different ultimate on Duchess, that'd be my number one. But
okay.
That ultimate's just not great.
Okay.
So.
And Duchess, her ultimate
turns you invisible, which is good against like regular enemies.
What does her ability do? She like holds a watch or something?
Yeah, what was her basic ability?
I don't actually know what it does. I threw it, and I can't tell if she's throwing it at someone or if she's doing it to herself. It's some kind of time gimmick, because it's the icon is like a watch. So maybe she slows someone down or speeds you up. I don't know, but maybe she speeds herself up, because I did notice that sometimes she was getting pretty quick with the.
Yeah, the run I got with her, I didn't get very far. I'll probably play more with her too when I do it again, because yeah, I don't remember what that
Yeah,
ability
for
is
reference,
now
we
that you
got
mention
about
it.
enough runs to do one of each character, maybe one or two more.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
exactly it.
got my matches went a little bit longer. So I only got 4 of them. So I didn't even play as Recluse. um
Oh, really? Okay.
no, I didn't, but
You
I
ain't
knew
missing
that I
much.
wasn't going to enjoy it. Because I already am not the mage kind of guy. But no, with Recluse, just to ask a couple questions, you still have your melee weapon available. It's weak, but you have a melee weapon for when your FP runs out. Is that right? You
No,
just tap over?
No.
no. You
You
start out with
don't
a
tap
Yeah.
hand and a pole.
Yeah, that's why I was like, man,
Okay.
why would I even take this class? Because I have to
Gotcha,
immediately. It
okay.
feels like
There
I
has to be
immediately need
something
to
we're
pick up
doing
a
wrong.
weapon.
So-
that has
so-
to be better than that.
So the Recluse,
Yeah, I don't know.
then everybody who I saw play Recluse who seemed to be doing really well with it, their first order of business was find a dungeon, find a camp, beat a boss, and get some kind of secondary weapon that they're able to switch over to. Because you have several weapon
Yep.
slots here and no weight limit like you do
Run the
in
Gandalf build.
the typical
the
games.
big
So
sword.
you can have, I mean, I had 5 heavy weapons at one point, and there's
Yeah.
no, they don't measure weight or anything like that. You don't get weighted down. So I imagine that's the idea with the Recluse is you're still having to get items, but then you have your special abilities,
Yeah.
and that big ol' FP bar. So yeah, the way they want you to do it is out in the world, you will find these trees that will refill your FP. It'll
Mhm.
just cap off what you've got there. You don't have flasks to be able to do it. All of your flasks are pre-allocated and you can't change it. You get 3 of them for your health, and that's it. You can find additional flasks out in the world in the churches of America, and
America.
when you find that, you just get 1 additional. And then
Yeah.
I experienced getting to the I I don't remember picking one up that match, but I think when I got to the final boss, the Night Lord, they took me to this separate area right beforehand to kind of like ready up, and I think going in
Yeah.
there it gave me an extra flask.
I think
So
so.
I
Yeah.
think
I remember that.
you can end up with 5. One from going to the Church of America to pick up an extra, and then 1 for getting to the end there. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think I had 5 when I did the
Yeah.
boss too.
Yeah. So yeah, so your FP is just filled by finding those trees. You can also find some items after beating enemies. But yeah, not a lot of options that way. And
Yeah.
it's
I feel like
it,
this might be the weakest that Magic has been in a while in a FromSoft game.
I think
Because like
so.
even when I was using it like with the other classes, it was like, man, it's not hitting for very hard.
Yeah.
And it just feels like a waste of my FP because I could be using an Ash of War or
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Too
some
bad.
of these oh, I remember what that what her the passive, by the way, for Duchess. It's reset. When you
That's what it is.
yeah, when you knock an enemy around, it moves them back to where they were before, so you can kind of do it
Okay.
again. That's what her not her passive, her
Her secondary ability, basically.
yeah,
I
you
forget
have
the name of it.
yeah, you have your character ability and you have your ultimate. Her character ability, which refills like every 10 seconds, is yeah, a little reset. And then her ultimate was the turn invisible. But anyways, yeah, Recluse seems kind of weird. I'll say in all of the
Yeah.
preview coverage that I was checking out from other people leading up to it, nobody is enjoying Recluse. Everybody thinks it's a little bit weird. I'm curious
Yeah.
to see where they go with it, or if they have plans that way. But But
I'm really
to
curious
me,
to
it
see the other
seems
characters. I feel like they're gonna
yeah.
probably
So
outrank Recluse.
yeah, I will say that Recluse, when they have FP, they are doing some pretty crazy damage. And there are some really great spells and incantations in the area for you to pick up. Like they're pretty powerful, but again, you don't get it for very long. So I think their intention is that you are picking up a secondary in between, and you're just kind of waiting for that opportune moment, and kind of coordinating with your team. But it's kind of hard to do without comms, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit jank. Like, and I'm sure some of the other people that you're talking about experience this. Like going into the game, and like, oh, I want to play like this magic character, and then it's like crap amount of MP. Like that happened a lot. You know,
Very little. You're out of like after your first fight, you're out basically. If you were to just use like constantly spam stuff.
Now, Matthew, how are you feeling about the classes?
I liked all of them. I've never used magic. I don't know anything about it. But I played it the one time. I lost all my FP and then I died and they ran away and they just stood over my body and didn't revive me. And then any other game I was playing, they were never really doing too good. I was always picking them up. But the last game I did, the Recluse was actually like carrying kind of. So maybe it's just you gotta know. They probably looked at Extra Life or something, I would guess, but probably had the wiki open. Guardians was probably my favorite. With Duchess a close second.
Yeah, Guardian is really solid.
Guardian it's such a nice ability. He has two abilities. One, he kind of does like a little mini tornado, and it'll pick up smaller enemies, and it'll kind of stun just for like a second. Bigger enemies and bosses. That's cool. And his ultimate, he like ducks up, he ducks down, and then jumps up in the air. When he ducks, he has invincibility. You can't hit him. And so he jumps up, and then he has a targeted drop, and you can change the target while you're in air. Because I targeted the wrong guy, and I was able to move it, and then he was able to go down. It does a pretty good AoE damage. So that was cool. The Duchess was nice because bleed's still good. I was able to get a bleed dagger, and she's it's nice. That's what I ran in Elden Ring. It was 2 Rivers of Blood. So that was more my element, was playing with her. But you get hit like twice and you're dead.
Yeah, her dodge is great though.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about her.
And then Wilder, I didn't like the character as much, but I liked his abilities. He has a kind of like a grapple hook that brings you in, and his ultimate is like a big fire blast. So you can be not super far away, but a little bit of distance from the boss. You can target, you can get it right up to him, and you can pop your ultimate on him. And it's fun, but I didn't really like that character that much just personally, but that's because it's not really how I've ever played the game. So I kind of had I had one thing that I did, and then we got to the last boss, and then I switched what I did to beat it. So I've only ever done stuff like Duchess.
Okay. Did anybody get a chance to use the ultimate as the Recluse?
I don't know what it did. I was using her both abilities. I just didn't really know what they did. But
I used
it
it
in
in the practice section, but I still don't remember exactly what it did.
My understanding of it is that whatever the last damage done to the boss was, it does it over again. So if someone managed to do crazy damage to it, you can follow up with that immediately, and then it deals it over again. Okay. So if someone, I don't know if that counts for like viscerals, because that's what I would hope that it is.
Oh man,
because that'd be crazy. Great. But I don't know if that's exactly how it works. But that's my understanding of the ability, is that it'll just basically repeat the damage that was previously done to it. If I'm thinking of the right one.
And for those wondering why we know so little, you only have 3 hours to play, and you're kind of in. And there's literally the people you're playing with. They're from the go. They're just I don't know how they know where they're going. but they're just constantly moving, and so you can't you can't even hardly, when you get to a shop, look at the items, but everybody's gone already fighting something else. So there's not a whole lot of time to look and see what things do or experiment with stuff.
Cannot stress enough that the idea of this game is to keep moving, and I want to talk about the movement here. For saying again, we've talked about your sprint is crazy fast. You're really zooming through. Let's talk about other couple things with it. There's no fall damage now.
Fall
damage is huge in all the FromSoft games, and it will these modern ones. It feels wrong to say FromSoft but not be including Armored Core. But
that's a different kind of game.
The new era of FromSoft. We'll say what Soulsborne Ring games. In your Soulsborne Ring games, fall damage is huge. No fall damage in here, which is great because the way the map is done is there's a lot of verticality to it, but in a very interesting kind of way. It is really just set up for you to kind of climb to the top of something and see, okay, what's around my area here? Where's the next camp? Is there like a little mini dungeon nearby that I can sweep through? And
that's where slipstreams come into play, which is an awesome mechanic.
Oh
man.
In Elden Ring, you had these wind gusts that I can't think of the name of.
Wind gusts.
Yeah, you did it with like Torrent.
Yeah, I can't think of what it's called.
Too.
Whoopee Zone.
Gale Burst or something like that. I don't know.
Anyways, you would run into it on your horse, and your horse would go flying up onto the top of whatever cliff it was at the base of. Now you can just do it on foot while sprinting. And
there's usually a decent amount of them too.
Oh yeah.
To help you get up.
Now, in addition to that, we've talked about the dodge has been pretty heavily upgraded, I would say. I think this dodge feels great. I feel like
there's more iframes.
I never really got hit unless I was just not paying attention. Like if I was actually trying to dodge stuff, I wasn't really getting hit, which was kind of nice. I mean, outside of like bosses, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, I felt similarly. I never felt like
it's nice, man.
Yeah,
I was saying, man, it's nice and sunny, man. Everything's green, the flowers are blooming. I just get a run away from enemies, man. I'm just faster than them. I do more damage. It's nice. This is probably how America felt when she was coming up.
I remember at one point like outrunning a dragon easily.
It's nice.
It was your speed is incredible, but I love this dodge. Like they've said, more invincibility frames, but also it's further, it's faster, and the biggest thing that I feel contributes
upgrades for it, which makes it even better.
And the biggest thing that I think contributes to the movement of this game and kind of shows this new play style where you want to keep moving, and how their design has pushed you towards that is your dodge does not take up very much of your stamina bar. Even if you're a character with lower stamina, you can keep chaining things together and dashing around, and the recharge on your stamina is crazy fast.
Yeah.
It is if you stand still for maybe 2 seconds and your stamina bar is already filled up again. And sometimes you can be on the move and it'll still be like raising up. It does not take, there's not a long time that you have to pause before it starts raising again. So sometimes if I got a big hit in, it would start to refill my stamina a little bit before I got that next hit in, because you don't have to do like this full stop and reset like we're used to. These little things here, it's so interesting what they've come up with here. But everything that they've done to adjust this game has been to streamline it, and has been to be there's a sense of urgency.
It's going to give you some bad habits going back and playing other games, though.
Absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be difficult to go from Nightreign back to Elden Ring, not necessarily because one is better than the other, but just because it is a very different type of. It's very forgiving in the combat, which is unusual. But what is running around if there's not an area to run around in? How are you guys feeling about the world of Limfeld? Nightreign.
One more thing about the movement. I like how you can like parkour higher up.
Oh yeah.
It almost feels like Sekiro where you're going like bouncing up and climbing and stuff. That's really cool.
There's a vault in this game, and
vault. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word.
And it's funny because you will see the places they want you to do it.
They're kind of
because you will see
special.
Yeah, you'll see this cliff. Yeah, it'll the
Which
rocks
is very
will be a little
soft.
bit
labeling where they want you to go.
Right. So the rocks get lighter in that area, and you also have little marks on them, which at least they're not yellow. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah, I felt like it worked. It wasn't like extreme.
It looked like natural wear, but you knew what, like your gamer sense knew what you were supposed to do, but it didn't look like it. There wasn't like a sign and an arrow pointing, climb here or nothing.
Exactly. But I don't know if it's just because the way I had my settings on, I thought the contrast from a distance was also pretty recognizable. Where if I see a big area, I can tell from a distance how I'm supposed to get up there. Where I'm supposed
it's like to. The cliff sides are formed in a way that you just see and you're like, oh god, yeah, I can climb that.
Yep.
Yeah, you can definitely still use it in other areas though, which is nice. Yeah. Like there's a couple castles I climbed just doing that, and it's like wow, it's really nice.
I was hopping on top of the statues and getting up into the little rafters in the round table hold. Although it really seemed like I wasn't supposed to get up there. It felt like there was a force field around things because when I finally
got for places
there,
to put down his finger.
It was like shooting me out of it. But that was a lot of fun. Yeah, movement is incredible. So, what do you guys think about the world layout? Because this is procedurally generated in a sense, but I'll let you guys talk through. Let
it's kind of like about it. They plopped down Elden Ring places.
Yeah.
So there'll be like, here's this fort that you probably saw in Elden Ring that's here now, and then like here's this like enemy encampment. Here's this I think it works well enough. Like I think they get that it still feels. I don't know if lived in is the right word, but it feels interesting and like varied.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel all samey, which is good. Definitely feels like an environment that it's not as nicely designed as Elden Ring, but I mean,
yeah, definitely. You could tell one was like sculpted in the forges of wherever they forged stuff, and the other one was Nightreign. But there's two big things I like. The first one, I'm a fan. Obviously, I don't think I'd like it in a regular Souls game, which I believe I had told you guys. I like how vibrant the colors are. They like bump the contrast up, so the greens feel more. I kept saying the greens feel more green. The sky feels bluer. There's like a little rainbow in the sky and stuff. It felt nice, it felt nice just running around, hanging out in there.
Yeah, I want to talk about visuals in a little bit here.
Okay.
But did you have anything else with
the second thing I like? There's a whole lot of ravines and caves that you can fall into and stuff. And me running through enemies trying to get away from the flame that was coming, trying to find my teammates, I was never stuck. I was just able to without even really having to think too hard, find a way up, because their climbing is kind of like you can jump up, and then if you're within reach of something, you kind of do like a double jump off it and then grab up and pull yourself.
Yeah.
So able to do that, you can pretty much up any rocks. Like it doesn't even have to be marked. You can, if you can get to the kind of close to the top, he'll pull himself up. So I think that's really nice. And along with the slipstream jumps, it's good, because sometimes in those games you kind of get lost, where there's a ring closing in on you. and like, oh, I can't go this way, so now I have to go all the way around. But yeah, you can just go up the side of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game. Well, let me start with this. I don't love the world design. I understand why it has to be this way.
It's not amazing.
But there's a couple things that I think are really great. But let's start with my gripes. So everybody knows that I'm not a fan of procedural generation. It's one of the most important things for me in any kind of open world game is something that is intelligently designed. You know, we live in an intelligently designed world, so I want to play in one too. So, you can tell when things are just randomly placed together. They're not crafted. There's not.
Yeah,
things
no
are
rhyme or reason to it being there.
The little keep from Elden Ring in the spot, and you can totally tell.
And
you're like, I was here in Elden Ring. Like, what the?
yeah. It's not even necessarily that I want interesting things to look at. It's that there's not a natural flow to things.
That's true.
Now, I will say, as we've said before, there's an incredible amount of verticality here. Your highest heights and lowest depths are
huge.
They're crazy. They're more than you're going to get in any other game of this ilk. It's crazy how fast you're getting from top to bottom and bottom to top.
I mean, seconds to get up a cliffside.
Yeah. So the way that they have it set up is, they have basically their different areas, because you will find the areas over and over again. They're just going to be in different orders. You have basically, I counted 12 really distinguishable elements of the world, like this castle or this place where you can find the flaming heads on the carts. What I can never remember what those are called. And things like that are like, I know I'm going to find this somewhere. The Church of America, the little cave. I know that this is going to be somewhere. It's just a question of where is it this time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a number of ways that this could happen very badly. And like you guys have said, in a lot of these types of games, I'd had it happen all the time in Apex. Oh, shoot, I've miscalculated. I ran into a wall. This is a dead end. There's not a way out for me now, except for me to go out in there. Now, in a lot of those games, there's something I can use maybe to protect against the rain for a little bit, or maybe launch myself up in the air or something like that if I grab the right items. But this game does not have any of that. However, like you, I was never running into I was never running into dead ends, and that's what I think is really special about this is with this procedural generation. As I was going through, I was picking up on, oh wait, this is always facing a certain direction. Like you kind of imagine that you've got that they are puzzle pieces, and you can switch around where they are, but there's still rules about them having to connect in a certain way. And that's what they have going on here. Is this procedural generation has a pretty considerable amount of rules. I will say that this procedural generation, at least to me, it didn't feel fresh every time. It felt like I was going into the same place.
Which is kind patterns to it,
Yeah, which is like your starting points specifically. I noted. I think I found like two. They might have been slightly different, but like when I dropped them, I was like, "Oh, I'm here again."
Yeah, the reason a lot of people
the drop-in felt similar.
Which I don't mind the drop-in being the same, just because like at least you know like when you drop in like what you can do there, but like the stuff around it was different.
Yeah, again, I only had one guy actually get us somewhere else. And
nobody else knew you could move.
And even then, it wasn't like way out or anything like that. But anyways, a lot of these procedurally generated worlds, the reason they are that, allegedly, this is what people always tout, is for replayability. I don't feel like that's actually what it is for most people who do procedurally generated worlds, but
like Risk of Rain, I couldn't care less
ease of development
if it looks different.
Yeah, Remnant was one of those where I was like, is this really for replayability? Or is it just because you couldn't come up with anything? But
man.
In this game, uh, it feels yeah. I don't see how this is going to help replayability for anybody. Feel like for me, I would just preferred a set map, but I am impressed with what they're able to do here. With again, there's rules for how these can connect to each other because you're going to come out of it one way, and there's going to be somewhere you can go after that. You're not going to have these dead ends. They're not just randomly dropped about like they are in most other procedurally generated worlds. I was very impressed with the amount of thought that went behind it. But again, I just it kills the enjoyment a little bit for me because anytime I'm in an open world, I want it to be designed and set a certain way for a reason.
Yeah.
And even though there's elements of that, it ultimately it didn't work as well as I wanted it to.
And to me, the
Yeah, I'd agree.
the point of the game to me, like for people saying like the replayability of the map changing, for me, for a game like this, you think the replayability would just be like the gameplay itself? Because that was
Yeah.
more. I
think that's where they nailed the replayability. Is
Yeah,
like
'cause,
the
like,
different
I was
bosses
ready to
that
get
can be
back in,
around and
like,
the weapons and
once for example, it was the last one I was able to play. We had a really good build going. We were a high level. Come like in the second day, we come up to a boss, and it's forget what it was. It was one of the tree sentinels, I think. But there's 3 things you have to defeat, and it just bad boss placement. We could have got the one of the other ones. I forget who's the evil omen or whatever. We could have got any
like
of those guys. We would have been fine. We got this boss, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I was like, all right, we'll play another one. And I looked, and it was like 950. I was like, never mind, I'm not playing another one because the thing's gonna close. But it's like I just want to get back in, and it's the same thing with Elden Ring. You can be by a boss, you just want to go back in and fight it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar.
But they kind of have. I feel like they just have that unique gameplay already, so they don't really need the like replayability of the map being like generated, whatever you said, procedurally generated.
Yeah, and with that, I want to move over to our last big topic here.
Bosses.
Regarding this. Well, actually, do you guys want to talk about enemies?
One quick thing about the bosses, and it goes back to how strong your character is. Getting to fight bosses that I struggled with in the game in Elden Ring, and just getting to like duff them with a group of people. It's vindication. It's so much fun. It's like, yeah, he's like, all right, I finally got away from that boy few in Elden Ring, man. Ooh, I'm dustling around here. You saw me and my friends coming up. We had our knuckles cracked and whatnot. It was nice. It's just so much fun. I get to be the boss for once, man. Now there's mini bosses that you just kind of find walking around in the world that like spawn, and then there's the bosses at the end of each day. The bosses at the end of each day aren't very fun. Like, you know, they're fun, but I don't get to beat them up easy. The bosses in between, like,
they're real bosses. They're not just overworld bosses.
Yeah,
the overworld bosses are there to.
They're bosses by game, not by name.
Yeah.
I feel like the only boss that we really need to cover is probably the last one, because all the rest of them are from.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I'll say so. I'll just say through these real quick is that when you get to the end of the day, you're going to get some kind of iconic boss from soft history. These are the repeat bosses. I've found 3 different ones that we would get. I don't know if there's more. I've heard that there might be additional ones, but I only ever saw 3 different ones.
I'm sure they are.
One is the caterpillar demon from Dark Souls.
Centipede.
Thank you, Centipede demon.
And the second phase, he turns into a butterfly.
I will say that there's that in that fight you can chop off his tails and stuff like that, and it'll become.
Can you do that in the game?
And what's great
in Dark Souls.
What's crazy is I don't actually remember doing that.
So
I know that you can chop off
stuff, but it doesn't become sudden.
It was like a slippery slope. Do I want to cut him off to like make him weaker, but I have to fight the other guys coming off him?
Well, what was great was we can do that, but then as I'm playing as the Guardian, which was my favorite by a long shot, I loved the Guardian.
Oh yeah.
Those was the only times in the boss fight where I could actually use my whirlwind and I could flip them over on their heads, like start wheeling on them real quick to take care of him. Because that's what I would do. Is I was like, I don't. I know that I'm supposed to be playing this like a tank, but I don't want to play that way.
The bosses are where it becomes like more of your traditional FromSoft games where you're actually struggling. The rest of them, you're just kind of wandering around like punching everything.
Yeah,
you're having a good time. I mean, there'll be certain scenarios where you just like get beat up before the bosses. And
if you die outside of one of those boss fights or you get knocked down, that's completely on you. That's your fault.
For knocking down, if you run out of health, you kind of get into a down state. Your friends have to come over and hit you, physically hit you, and then you can come back up with I think half health or something like that.
Yeah, now, they don't necessarily have to come over to you.
The harder it is to get you back
well, they have
up.
to hit you with something.
Well, they have to do damage to you. Damage, quote unquote. So they can use range. They can shoot a bow at you. They can shoot magic at you. They can use abilities on you. Anything that would normally deal damage, they can do that to you to try to bring your ring down. And your damage and your buffs and stuff like that, they're all stacking. Your flame damage and stuff, that's all stacked there. So you can really melt your teammates to get them back up. But yeah, each day it refreshes what your bars are. So it's kind of like a little wheel around your character.
Like a pie chart.
Yes, that has 3 different things that can fill up. And your first time getting knocked down each day, you just have 1. Second time, you use 2. Every subsequent time, there's going to be 3 of them that you have to break through.
And it does take a lot to get you
next day. It really does.
And outside of a boss, you'll have a timer. If that runs out,
yes,
you die.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we also had Margit, the Fell Omen, who is the lead boss in
Evil Omen.
Elden Ring. And then who was the other boss that we were getting where you had 2 of them going on? There's something.
Yeah, the god, the queen, something, and her henchman. I can't remember their names, but it's a big beast lady and then like a little guy with a sword. And he's really short.
Did you ever get that one?
I like that one. That was easy.
Did you get another end of day boss that we haven't mentioned?
There's the tree sentinel with 2 other riders with him.
Oh, thank you.
That one sucks.
Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah.
I hated that one. That one that felt the most like, all right, they're just doing it to me now.
Yeah, I usually got either the Guardians, the Centipede, or Margit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I didn't get any other ones, but yeah.
That's right. So maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them.
Not a lot of them.
But for in-game bosses, there's a lot more, like running around.
Yeah, and then your day 3 boss is set in stone. And is the boss of the area. And that one was I had to take a picture of it on my phone because we weren't able to do a screen record or anything like that. Here, let me find my photos here. So I can see what the name of this boss was. That's it. Gladius, Beast of the Night. And I don't have a good picture of him, but I will say, look at this world.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's
usually the prettiest part of the game.
It's
not gonna do it justice.
Yeah, it's really not. But
maybe Matthew can find a picture of it later.
Here it is. Anyways, picture. Look at that. Check it out. That's about what I saw. So that's what you guys are gonna see. Yep, that's pretty cool, huh? I sure would like to go there.
You remember those Magic Treehouse books? I wish I could go there.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, Jack and
all of a sudden it's 1942.
Yeah, 1942, and there's a 3-headed Cerberus kind of thing coming after you. Cerberus.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Cerberus. Yeah.
Crazy cool fight. The environment was immaculate. Which I want to come back to environments as our last thing in just a moment here, but the fight was pretty crazy. As you're beating down on him, just skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to know what's happening with him. But as you're beating down on him, eventually the 3 heads are just going to be like a puff of flame, and all of a sudden they're going to be 3 different dogs running around chasing after you. And as you whittle down a little more health, they'll regain, or they'll return into 1. He'll do this crazy has a spear
like
on a chain
that comes out of his mouth or something like that.
Then
yeah,
he swings around it a couple times. He'll fling it down, or he'll.
And is this unique to this game, boss? Have you guys seen this boss before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's brand new. Yeah.
You say he has some 3 dogs chasing you?
Yep.
Sounds like my kind of boss. All right, get him, boys. Where are they? He's
right.
got me in the back. Like,
Well, he is the dogs.
the
but
Joey
yeah.
Chestnut
Oh, I
of
gotcha.
FromSoft. You're looking at him.
Yeah, Matthew's gonna dip those dogs in water.
No, I did them in mug.
Oh man.
I'm like, wait, where my other dog at? And it's like my mouth like comedically large with like half a dog in it. Wait, oh, yo.
Oh boy. So let's get this final thing. The
Yeah.
visuals of the game. What do you guys think about how this game is looking compared to Elden Ring?
I think
Better and worse in some points.
for this type of game,
Like some textures were
I think it looks good. There was some pop-in
Yeah.
of textures that I noticed, but I think for like this style of game, I think it looks good. Like I said earlier, I don't think I like this if it was your regular Souls
full
game.
game. Yeah.
But I think and obviously it's just the first map because there's once you beat the final boss and you unlock the next map to be able to do. And I think it looks fine for what they're doing. It definitely looks good compared to other, I guess roguelites, if you want to call it that. Is it? Are they calling it a roguelite?
They are saying it's a roguelite.
Yeah. So compared to every other roguelite out there, it pretty much stomps them all graphically because it's like slightly less good looking.
Yeah, there's
Elden
not
Ring.
many that look that good. That's true.
I mean, Returnal.
Yeah, Returnal is probably the
in Saurus coming next year.
Yeah, in Saurus.
But yeah, so Housemarque games, right? Yeah. So, this game is a step up from Elden Ring in terms of the graphical fidelity. So, if you haven't played a lot of FromSoft games, they have amazing art styles. They are hard to match in terms of just how creative they get with their color schemes and designs, their environments. There's few people who can keep up with them in that sense, but they've never had the best graphical fidelity where things are they're not very crisp and there's not a great render distance. So they do the Zelda thing that everybody saw with Breath of the Wild because it kind of got very publicly, I don't know if exposed is the right word, but basically they use kind of like, not necessarily, I don't think it's necessarily volumetric fog, but they have kind of a fog, a haze in there to disguise that textures that are further back are not fully rendered. They're only rendered in part. And then as you get closer to them, it starts to render them in fullness. And even then, they're still not going to be super detailed. But here, there's no way. I'm pretty sure this is exclusive to PS5, Xbox Series, PC, and it is not on older hardware. And it shows because this is very crisp. That fog is completely gone to where.
And
as Matthew's
a big part of it.
That too. But as Matthew said, your grass is actually green now.
It's nice, man. Dude, I was laying back on the ground catching some Z's, man. This is nice.
Yeah, and that's not to say that, and Matthew plays it up a bit here.
Yeah,
it's not.
I exaggerate a lot.
And stuff. It's not like that ending scene of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth where it's just like, the Windows XP field,
like a dream,
not in front of you or anything like that. It's nothing like that at all. It still has the dark, gritty tone, but that fog being removed is such a change.
It's like Fallout New Vegas if you remove the orange filter.
Yeah, it's utterly beautiful. The colors are so good. The enemies have never been so clear, and I think it's part of what makes them like really distinct and easy to catch from a distance. And you really do need to be able to see things from a distance in this game. Their draw distance is crazy.
One thing to note:
see from one end of the map to the other.
It's very smooth compared to Elden Ring. So I'm running at 1440p. It feels a lot smoother than Elden Ring does.
You're getting 60 frames pretty consistently. I feel like when I played Elden Ring, that 60 frames was not actually 60.
Yeah.
I feel like they were trying to do 40 something and push it off as 60. This feels like a real 60 frames per second. There's still some stuttering. There's some pop in.
Yeah.
But that's not. Yeah, that's just lag.
I mean, you can live with that, to be honest, because it's not bad. Like I saw maybe one or two instances of pop in for textures, not objects. No object popping, obviously, for me, but I think I had maybe 2 across 5 games, so not bad.
Yeah,
for the
I
not
didn't
full
have
game.
I didn't have a lot of pop in. I had a lot of clipping, especially as I was going up to different trying to vault is where I was experiencing it the most, where I would go kind of through objects or I'd actually pop out of something. That's where I was experiencing the most. But otherwise, this game runs amazing. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I
I
no
only had like
complaints there
extra
for me.
popping, and it was like once or twice.
Yeah,
it looks really nice.
All right. Any final thoughts on our
this
time
one,
with Elden Ring? Nightreign?
as opposed to Monster Hunter World, this one actually intrigues me enough to want to buy it and see the full game. Which I think, even if you're just doing a network test, I think if you're putting it out, you're telling people, hey, you should buy this, and like you're using like that as an example. I feel like this one does a lot better job of, like, obviously because I like the gameplay more, but I feel like this one gets me a lot more excited for May 20th, whatever it comes out.
May 30th.
May 30th.
May 30th, yeah.
Right, we're getting it May 20th.
How?
No comment. Let's just say that 60 FPS mod guy is a little angry right now.
Oh my word.
The Bloodborne guy, they shut down his mod. Tony did. So he's going to revenge against the guys who did not shut it down. Classic. But I liked it. I had a good time.
Right.
I only wish we could have played as a team, as a family.
Yeah.
Man, I think that's going to be.
That's
I
the
think it's good.
missed opportunity.
I think that's
sure.
going to be what takes it to the next level.
Yeah.
I feel like
You're
that.
looking at the Helldivers 2 of
missing,
FromSoft games, baby.
Bo
Mitchell, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty similar. The one thing I feel like it didn't do super hot on was like getting in the game and like the feel of it and like getting used to it. It's kind of like getting thrown into a pool.
Yeah, there was
Which
no
is, like,
help whatsoever in that game.
Yeah.
To start out.
No tutorial, which no tutorial is kind of consistent with FromSoft games, but there's always something. Like you're guided just briefly at the beginning, and then it immediately opens up after like 90 seconds. This had nothing.
And there's
whatsoever.
a little training ground where it shows you like the buttons to press for like your ultimate and stuff, but
that's it.
Yeah.
There's,
and
you
even
don't know
like
your objective or anything.
And that's
like
just
that.
because it's brand new to the franchise for a specific like ultimate outside of whatever weapon or anything you have on.
Yeah. It the menu took a little bit of getting used to.
The UI
that's probably
wasn't
like
great.
the one.
It looked a little weird.
Yeah, that was the one like gripe I had with it, was like the way the wheel like kind of goes up with the items was kind of odd.
Yeah, I had just several times of UI elements popping over each other.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, like I agree with Matthew. Like this one, I actually want to buy instead of Monster Hunter Wilds.
Right. Yeah. Last thing about the tutorial is I'm curious if the full release will change, because when they set it up, I can already feel like, okay, there's a cutscene that's going to happen before they actually drop it.
There is on the PlayStation Store, there's a picture of like your character talking with like a lady in like rags kind of. And so I feel like there's going to be like some kind of opening.
Yeah, there's NPCs there that have just basic dialogue right now you can't interact with. I mean, they're going to be able to do a lot more than what we were able to do today.
Yeah.
Again, this was a network test.
This is probably like, like 25% of the game.
Not even.
Like, I mean, like you got the world, you got the there's no, I don't know how to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of stuff that you have access to.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we don't have access to that I think are going to clear it up a little bit. I don't know if they're going to fix the issue that we had of tutorialization in its entirety. I don't know if people are going to totally understand what they're supposed to do when they drop in there. And I hope
I think we kind of have the hindsight of playing Elden Ring. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't, like if somebody's never played Elden Ring and they want to try this.
Quick question.
I will say,
actually, make your point and then I'll ask it.
I will say that after a few matches of playing, you guys get to like that fourth match. Did you feel like you had a pretty good sense of what you were supposed to do?
Yeah,
Despite there not being a tutorial.
it's pretty intuitive.
That's true.
I agree with that.
Especially
Okay,
when your
go ahead.
teammates are running towards it. So obviously the game's not out yet, but let's say it was someone like me who, up until a few months ago, had never played a FromSoft game, never played a Souls game. Do you think this is too different to recommend to someone who's never played one before? Like if they're like, hey, I'm either going to buy, like whatever Souls or Elden Ring or whatever versus this. Would you like if someone's unsure about getting into
they're wanting to get into Souls, I wouldn't say that this is the way to do it.
Okay.
Personally,
it depends. I think there's a type of person that I would recommend this to. I think
this is definitely a certain type of person kind of game.
Yeah, I think if you have a friend who is the, jump into multiplayer, do a game, and then dip out kind of person, that this is actually an okay way to kind of get them into it. Let them kind of see what the combat is like, and then you get into an actual,
and you get sad.
Proper Elden Ring where you're like, okay, now things are generally the same, except now you're going to be in charge of your build and stuff. Progression is going to be.
We're taking off the training wheels and we're putting you in F1.
Yeah, but I mean, because this is not an RPG. But
I was more wondering if you were thinking
Elden
maybe
Ring,
it was like a little too different to the source material to.
Yeah.
Depending on the person, you'd say probably.
The combat feels similar.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah. I will say that I think that this game has a ton of potential to be incredible, and really do some special things. What I'm hesitant about is I don't know if this loop is doing what they want it to do, in terms of constant progression and things
old,
like that.
That is the one
and
hang up I have with it.
Yes, and they're talking about having additional content later that I just don't know about. But also, everything that they've done with this is like live service, except the point of those is the point is just to win the match. In this, there's additional progression, which is and it's a PvE. It's not PvP. You're not playing against other players. You're playing against.
I'm so glad there's no
the game itself. Right. Well, we'll see what the full game brings. But once people reach that end, are they going to want to come back to it? Once you finally
I could see a drop off.
Get through to those.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to retain players this way. It doesn't seem to be built for that. We'll see what happens. And
we don't know how many maps they have.
We
start out.
This is not confirmed. But
I doubt they have many maps.
8, I think, is what it was. Is what's being tossed around.
That is more than I thought they had.
8.
Okay.
This is the first stage of 8.
And
I don't know if that's confirmed, but that's what a lot of people have been.
In 3 hours, we were almost able to beat the first one. So,
well, some of us were able to beat the first one.
Some of us got carried. Some of us refused to carry. Am I looking the other way for you?
Well,
I mean,
one thing's for sure, Elden Ring Nightreign is going to be big. But I don't want a big game right now. I want a mini game. So boys, grab your note cards because we are playing a special edition of Fact or Fiction. In this game, our gamers will determine if my statements are fact or fiction in a race to 100 points. For each correct answer they give, they will receive 10 points. If only one gamer answers correctly, they will receive an additional 5 points for a total of 15. If we reach the end of the list before a player has reached 100 points, the game is over, and whoever holds the highest score will be declared the winner. But today, we have a twist. I know a twist in the first edition of this game is kind of bold.
Yeah,
but I liked it, so we're doing it. Our idea of retro console games, typically we're thinking about what? Nintendo Entertainment System, Sega,
Super Nintendo,
Atari.
Yeah.
Probably PlayStation 1 and back.
But in Europe, folks played more from the likes of the Commodore 64, your ZX Spectrum, MSX, things like this. So I have a list of 14 80s games from Europe, and I want you to just determine if I'm spitting facts or fiction. Let me grab the list real quick.
This is where I'm gonna struggle. I don't know much about. I mean, I know some. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yep. And you are trying, and you're just going to decide if I am, if these are real games or if I've made them up. Real game titles.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sure I've got it. This should work. Okay.
Excuse me.
All right. Let's begin with the first one. Vegetable Crash.
Oh wow.
Vegetable Crash.
And we gotta hold it up. Do we gotta reveal it at a certain time?
I will let you know when to reveal it, but is this a real game or is it fiction? Am I making it up? Is this fact or is it fiction?
So now we hold it up.
I'll go ahead
Sure.
and count you off on 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
Oh, whoops. Oh, what? That's my screenshot from beating the first Elden Lord.
I knew you were gonna do that.
All right. Both Matthew and Bo say that this is fiction, and this is a real game.
Wow,
This
real
was
boring.
indeed
Right?
fact. This is, yes, this came out on the ZX Spectrum in 1984.
Oh, it's on Spectrum, all right.
All right.
Oh my word.
No. Number 2 is swag, except the S is a dollar sign. So the game, it's still pronounced swag. Is this fact or fiction? You guys can just give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm
ready.
ready.
All right, go ahead and flip it around. No count off this time. We got, all right, you're both saying fiction. Guys, this was another fact. This is a real game.
Great.
In 1984, Swag came out on the Electron. All right. Number
Man.
3.
What even is that console, man?
Number 3. Fat Worm blows a Sparky. Fat Worm blows a Sparky.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, go ahead and flip them around, guys.
It's gotta be fiction.
All right. Guys, this is a real game. Fat
Oh
Worm
my
blows a Sparky.
gosh.
Is a legit game for, again, the ZX Spectrum. I couldn't get hard confirmation on Europe there, but it's an early 80s game again. The UK, man, has some bizarro kind of games. All right.
Apparently.
Well, number 4. Fruity Frank.
Fruity, Frank?
Fruity, as in Fruity Pebbles.
Wow.
Fruity Frank. Is this fact or fiction? Am I making it up?
I'm ready.
Are you, all right, go ahead and flip them around. This is in fact fact. Way to go, Bo. First one with points on the board there. And since you were the only one to get that one correct,
Noticing
that's
a
15
pattern.
points for you. Way to go.
Yeah, I did too, but I want to keep doing this up until it gets picked. So if it never gets picked, then I guess I'll have 0.
You're standing on principle now.
Yep.
Well, we'll see if that works out for you. By the way, Fruity Frank came out of the MSX in 1985. Number
Amazing.
5. Pigeon John sings the blues.
All right.
Pigeon John sings the blues. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and flip them around. This is, in fact, fiction. This is the first fake one. You guys got it.
I had a
So that's
feeling
10 points
'cause,
for
yeah,
each of you.
I don't even think that genre of music would be popular in Europe. So
Try hard.
Yeah.
okay.
I definitely haven't heard a lot of blues come out of there, but it also probably wouldn't have hit by the 80s. It probably would have taken a little longer. But all right. We're going to move on then to number 6. Number 6, everyone's a Wally. Everyone's a Wally.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
All right. Is this fact or fiction? Matthew, are you ready? Let's turn them around. This is fact. This is a real game.
Is that short for Wallaby?
Nope, it's just Wally.
Because I have
just Wally.
Well, look at the game. It's about wallabies. Because there's wallabies candy. I get it from the gas station.
Nope, has nothing to do with animals. Just and I'll be honest, I haven't played a lot of these. Actually, I've played one of these.
Nobody's played any of these.
They're just not common.
They're just not
bargain
popular.
bin games.
And the only one of these I've played also has an arcade version.
Okay.
And you know what's funny though? Is I don't know which one it is. I just saw the pictures of it and I was like, "Oh, I've done that one." I've seen that before. So if I looked at the pictures of them, I would know which one it is, but I do not know the title.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, next game, bad. Madden 25.
Number 7, Chubby Gristle.
My nickname in middle school.
Chubby Gristle.
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, go ahead and flip them around. Chubby Gristle is a real game. Came out on the Commodore 64 in 1988, and you play a fat parking cop who is also a really bad detective.
Interesting.
All right. Number 8, Motor Booty Affair.
One or
Motor
two.
Booty Affair. Sorry?
1 or 2.
There's no number on this title.
Okay, so it's the first one.
Unless the second one was 0 and then the... All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Flip them around.
I tricked him. There's no such thing
This
as
is
motor
fiction.
booty. Come on,
This is
Bo.
fiction.
There's no such thing as motor booty.
That
what is it
is... I made it up. There's no such game.
I mean, a lot of these
Motor Booty Affair
sound like they shouldn't be a thing. That's what I'm just
Right?
kind of guessing.
Why does
at this
motor
point.
booty
I
affair
don't know.
sound like a message you'd see in Elden Ring?
That would be Tribe Rump Secretly. I think would be the Elden Ring version of it.
Yeah.
All right. Number 9. My name is Uncle Groucho. You win a fat cigar. My name is Uncle Groucho. You win a fat cigar.
All right.
You guys
1
ready?
or 2.
Go ahead and flip them around.
This is the first game to have DLC.
All right, guys, this is a real game. Came out on the ZX Spectrum in 1983, and it is the most terrifying box art I've ever seen. You need to look this up later. It has just the most.
Later.
I refuse.
Yeah,
it's
there's a creature on there that will just give you.
Is it your uncle?
No, Uncle Groucho is standing next to the creature.
Oh.
All right, number 10, Captain Fantastic in the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Number 10, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Is that fact or fiction?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, go and flip them around.
Sorry.
All right,
That is
you
a
guys
real
are both
game.
correct. This is
Oh.
fiction. This is fiction. Way to go, guys. That's 10 points for each of you. All right, with 10 down and just 4 to go, the current score, Bo is in the lead with a solid 50 points, and Matthew back at 35 could catch up with actually
close.
this is still a single point game here. But let's continue forward. Number 11. Zenyatta Mandata. Zenyatta Mandata.
He's from Overwatch.
Is that real or am I making it up?
Zenyatta.
All right,
ready.
let's see him, boys.
Okay.
All right. That is, in fact, fiction. That is
All right.
not a real game title. That is 10 points for each of yous. All right. Number 12. Rupert and the Toy Makers Party. Rupert and the Toy Makers Party.
I'm ready.
All right, go ahead and flip them. Bo is correct. That is a real game. Putting you up by 30. We're at 75 to 45 right now.
Oh,
All right.
he's boosting.
All right. Number 13. Rockstar ate by hamster.
The beloved
Rockstar
sequel to
ate my
Neighbors
hamster.
Ate My Zombies.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, go ahead and flip him.
Copy me.
Fiction. All right. This is a real game, guys. This is a real
Oh
game.
my gosh.
Came out on the
Weird.
the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore
That console
64 in
stinks. No offense.
1988.
If you got that, if you got ZX Spectrum,
Oh, and same thing for the last game except 1985. Yep. These are real games here. Rockstar Ate My Hamster is actually based off of a UK newspaper headline. That I don't know who the celebrity was because they're a UK celebrity from the 80s. There's an allegation that they'd eaten somebody's hamster. Some kind of
Strange.
some kind of 80s rocker who did not make the break over to, they weren't part of the,
British invasion.
British invasion exactly.
Mhm.
Yep.
could by chance have been Richard Gere
But
first.
this is another one. This is another one with a really good box art though, because it's totally Michael Jackson from the Thriller video. It's
Wow.
pretty great. All right. No points for anyone there. Number 14, the final one.
This last one.
This is the last one.
Yeah.
Potty pigeon. Potty pigeon.
All right.
I'm
All
ready.
right. Boys, go and flip him for the last time today.
Oh, it's embarrassing. How'd that get there?
All right. I feel like Matthew cheated on this one to try to not
promise.
have the same answer
I
as Bo,
promise I was
but
I've gone fiction every time. I was just trying to be funny with the picture.
That's true.
Gotcha.
It's fact.
Well, Bo still got it correct. This is a fact. Yes. And that puts Bo
So
at
insane.
90. For our last one, yeah, that came out on the ZX Spectrum in 1984.
Oh, you said that was the last
So
one.
the final score, the final score makes Bo, you are our winner today with 90 points. Congratulations. Double the point of Matthew, so Matthew, did you actually just guess fiction every single time? Did you
Yeah.
ever guess fact?
You
Well, I
did.
was
I thought
thinking
you
because you
guessed
did so
fiction
many
every
facts.
time.
Maybe you do so many fictions.
Nope. I thought about I thought about adding a couple wrinkles in here. I thought about doing just one fiction the entire time. But I had another.
There's not many fiction.
There is another interesting wrinkle in this one. So every fictional game title here is a real famous album.
Oh, really?
So so for example,
could see that,
Pigeon
yeah,
John Sings
famous.
the Blues is actually Pigeon John Sings the Blues is not that famous. That's by Pigeon John. He's a lesser known rapper.
Nobody even knows Pigeon John.
Motor Booty Affair is one of my favorite albums by Parliament. Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, a classic album from Elton John. Zenyatta Mandata is the peak of the Police. So
Is that the one
that
where they
is,
say like YMCA?
a do, a da. That's all I've got to say. I should probably stop before we get claimed or something.
Don't
like
worry, you
that.
ain't singing anywhere near
Especially
right.
this far in. All right, but that's going to do it
Very
there.
good.
Remember that you can be a part of what we do here by liking and subscribing, and you can comment answering our question of the week for a chance to get a shout out at the beginning of our next episode. Again, we are asking you, which game should copy Fortnite next?
Nintendo.
That's going to do it for this week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Super Nolan Man. That's Matthew Hot Dog Eater. That's the Hyrule King. And you have a great week.
Have a good one, guys.